Hello and welcome to Miniature Adventures. I'm Big Lee, and this week I want to ask, are Wargamers historians? So last week's conversation asked if there was any benefit in replaying the same games over and over again. The conversation that followed was fascinating and has led to today's topic about wargame research and whether being a wargamer makes you a de facto historian. Most historical wargamers like to talk about researching a period or a particular battle, but there are different types of research and each brings with it a different level of understanding. In modern educational parlance, the more research one does, the greater the mastery of the subject. But is this research or just learning? And where does wargaming come into the equation? Can wargaming a battle produce a greater level of understanding, and does it make us all historians? So I think it'd be worthwhile starting off with a dictionary definition of the word research. And it's the systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. And it's those last three words that I think are quite important. So reading existing historical texts and becoming an expert in a subject is not in and of itself research, it's learning. That doesn't mean to say you can't develop a degree of understanding and depth of knowledge that allows you to draw new conclusions, of course. Research would then be taking that learning to discover new sources of material or new ways of looking at existing materials and ideas, and to develop new theories and ideas. But let's face it, and this is no offence intended to the old grognards out there, how many wargamers are actually doing that? We learn about our periods, sometimes becoming very, very knowledgeable indeed. But does that make us historians? And can we call that learning research? So here's my pet theory. While becoming very knowledgeable on its own isn't necessarily research, it can be argued that taking that knowledge and combining it with wargaming produces new insights, and that does make us genuine historians. Wargaming itself becomes the unique source material which develops new ideas and new conclusions and can therefore be described as original research. Judging from some of the feedback I got from last week's video, that is probably a valid statement. Playing a wargame and exploring it in detail from different angles, exploring different variables, can produce new insights. And this leads to a greater depth of understanding of historical events that takes the nerd full of facts and turns them into a real historian. So what do I mean when I suggest wargaming can be used to explore variables? Well, simply put, war is chaotic, it's messy, and often, despite its often huge implications, very poorly documented. And as any first year student knows, history is usually written by the victors and is therefore rarely 100% accurate or unbiased. The further back one goes in history, the less reliable the sources can become. For battles, even the location and the topography of the battlefield is sometimes hotly debated, giving multiple variations of the same battle that can be explored on the tabletop. Often sources give vague or conflicting details to the number of soldiers taking part, the composition of the armies, and their readiness for battle. Wargaming the same battle over and over again, exploring all these variables, can produce useful insights that can be considered valuable and original research. I look at it as a form of experimental archaeology, trying out different elements, comparing results and forming conclusions from the evidence it produces. So wargaming does not necessarily require that players are historians conducting groundbreaking research, but over time it often leads to it. Continued learning brings a depth of knowledge which develops insight and a mastery of a subject, and when combined with testing, in our case via the experimental wargaming to explore variables, it can lead to new and original ideas. Not all historical wargamers are historians, but tabletop wargaming will eventually turn us all into historians, even if we don't realise it. So, do you agree with my view, or am I talking rubbish? I'd particularly love to hear from traditional historians who have become wargamers and ask whether they feel that gaming has enhanced their skill set. And as always, I'd love to hear what you think based on your own experiences. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share, and if you want to keep up to date weekly content from this channel, please tap the bell notification icon. So until next week, stay safe, keep gaming, and of course, keep rolling high.